1 year ago, I decided to spend half a year in Austria, to live in my van, to go skiing and to work. And this video is all about that experience. My intention. So in the first videos of the channel that I was talking about my stay in Austria, I mentioned that I want to become a pro skier, which was always a long time dream of mine, that I could ski for a whole season and become as good as possible. I needed to find work. Like, I couldn't stay in Austria for half a year just on the money that I saved because I didn't have anything saved. So I had to find a job. Accommodation was another goal that I had in my mind. I was thinking about living in my van because that is a cheap option. And I wanted to film and document the whole trip. I wanted to learn how to speak properly into the camera. I wanted to get used to that. And I wanted to just, document. But more on that later, because these are just thoughts that I had 1 year ago when I was still in Hamburg, still in my apartment. And I just had this dream that I wanted to ski for a whole season, and that I did. So these were my goals and intentions, and the next one will be reasons. As I mentioned, probably the biggest reason why I did go on this trip was to ski for a whole season, because I've been skiing since I was very young and I never had the chance to ski much longer than 1 or 2 weeks. The ticket costs a lot. You gotta go rent your skis, you gotta have accommodations, and you couldn't really focus on what you wanted to learn because you just didn't have that much time. So that was always a dream of mine, to become very good in skiing. Not only just skiing, because I really like park, so I wanted to learn a few tricks as well. Another reason was that it's a lot cheaper when you go for a whole season, because a season's pass costs as much as 2 or 3 weeks just on a holiday, and so that was a big difference too. I had to buy skis and boots, but overall it was still a lot cheaper. Experience. On top of my list was skiing, of course, and so I'm gonna start with that one. To mention up front, I've never ever skied better before in my life. And so that is a very nice thing that I've achieved. So basically I've become a pro skier in comparison to myself before the trip. It's kind of worked out, but I did not achieve all the tricks that I wanted to learn. So that was the cork and the front flip, which was 2 things I really wanted to do, which I should have done, but it's just the lack of opportunities and laziness maybe. But still I was able to learn a few tricks which I didn't ever do before. For example, the backflip. That was a pretty dope thing I did, and I was very stoked that day. And I've mastered or practiced the 360 a lot. I was doing some really gnarly lines in the POW with a friend of mine, which I've never ever done either before. So that was very cool to be like free riding, because we had so much snow during the winter. The locals said they didn't have that much snow for ages. And so I was free riding a lot more than I was going in the park. Second up on my list is work. When I first went to Austria, I had to find some work to even finance my stay, and I only had one option that I looked up on the internet, which was the airparc. I was lucky that I got the job because I didn't really have a second option. My boss was really nice. He gave me the job and opened up to me a whole lot of other opportunities, for example, to work in the snow park during the winter and work at the air park, go to events. All the people at work were awesome too. Met a whole lot of good friends, and yeah, it was just a crazy good experience. Lots of skilled people working there, on the parkour side, on the trampoline side, and I managed to get a lot better in all that kind of stuff too. So I can do a backflip now and all kinds of crazy things on the trampoline. I learned a backflip, a double backflip, front flip, a front full, a back full, and almost a double full back, and other kinds of tricks. I met all sorts of cool people through work. Friends of mine who came and visited. A really cool dude named Chris, you've seen in other videos before. He was very cool. Like, I met him even before I went to Austria. Through a friend of mine, I knew that he was going to the same place that I was going, but he already did have a job. And he asked if I could take some stuff down from him for kayaking and all that kind of stuff. And so I did. And we met up again when I was down in Austria. And so we've been hanging out throughout the winter, went skiing and all that kind of stuff. He even showed me how to whitewater kayak, which was crazy. And yep, very cool experience to meet him. Very good friend of mine now. And he made the whole experience a whole lot better because we were just hanging out all the time. My filming experience, because I wanted to document the whole trip and was talking into the camera, I got used to that a little bit more, a little bit better. I'm still kind of paranoid about it, but you know, getting better every time, I guess. And on top of that, I was able to film a few events during my stay, which were the Crystal Awards, the marker battle, for example. I was filming airbag videos for my boss, freestyle trampoline events, which was crazy. And so that was kind of a thought of me too, to get like all different kinds of opportunities to film, which was very nice. So these were my main points I had for my experience in Austria. I wanted to talk about. There's a whole lot of other things that happened, but I just wanted to share the most important conclusion. Even though there were a few things that I didn't achieve, there were so many things I would have never thought of that I did do. Before the trip, I always had this thought in my head, I would film crazy time lapses on top of a mountain. I would camp up there and have like a small fire and all that kind of stuff. I thought I would be a lot better in skiing, and I thought it would be a lot easier to get good. I did get very good just compared to myself before. And yeah, there's just some things I didn't do, some things I wish I would have done, but you know, I probably wouldn't have had other experiences if I only really focused on one thing. I just kind of rolled with what happened. That was kind of the experience of my half a year. Some things worked out really good, some things didn't. If you want to know more about my stay or certain things, maybe how I lived in the van with only the fire stove as my main heat source, or the only heat source, let me know in the comments. It's gonna be it for the video, and I'll talk to you next one. Bye!
Swagger band, pull up and come again. Rewind, spin it.